Welcome to Manifest with Celeste. My name is Celeste Baiwaso. I'm a leadership and career coach, and I created this podcast to inspire you to dream big and pursue your dreams. Hi, I'm here with my guest, Karin Yuen, who's the co-founder of Arden Cove, which is a beautiful bag company where you make beautiful bags that are anti-theft and water resistant. And I know you founded it in 2016, so just wanted to say thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to share some of my story.
Do you mind showing one of your bags as we begin?
Yeah, I actually have one here. This one is our Chrissy Crossbody. It's actually our very first purse that we launched. It's still, to this day, our bestseller. So it's a really important and special bag for us.
That's amazing. Amazing that the initial bag you launched is your bestseller. So I feel like that speaks volumes of like, you got it right.
Yeah, so we crowdfunded it actually in 2016. And I think a big part of it is that we listened to our customers. Like, you know, crowdfunding, you get a lot of feedback. So it just ended up being a really great design that appeals to a lot of people, a great everyday bag, perfect for travel. And every year we try to release new fun colors as well.
Ooh, I love it. I love fun, bright colors. So I'll have to check them out whenever a new one launches. I am curious about hearing more about your users, but before we go there, I wanted to ask you, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I sort of had like an unconventional path to, starting a business. I was an artsy, creative kid, but I also did really well in school. I'm from a family of immigrants, so my parents didn't really go to college, but they always instilled this really strong sense of education. So I knew I wanted to do well in school, go to a good school. But the funny thing is I never really thought too hard about what to do beyond that, right? I was like, gotta go to school, get a degree, and I'll get a good job, quote unquote. The funny thing is I ended up going to college for art and art history. I was painting and I worked in art galleries. And after college, I was kind of like, well, I tried art galleries. I don't know if I want to work in that as a career. I could go on to, get an MFA or PhD in art history, but it's more school. And I was like, I kind of want to pay off my student debt. And I ended up coming back to San Francisco. So I was born in San Francisco. I came back after college and I got a job in marketing. So it was like kind of all over the place. I kind of just ended up doing a lot of different things.
That's okay.
I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I ended up doing marketing and I really liked, a lot of aspects about it. It was still like creative. You do like sort of branding stuff. But it was also sort of more like more tangible of like selling a product, right? I ended up in this career and then I was like, oh, where do I go from there? I ended up leaving that company. And when I was unemployed, my sister was the one who pitched the idea of starting a company together. So she was definitely the more entrepreneurial minded. And I was kind of like, I like making stuff. I like selling stuff. I like, taking cute photos of a product and trying to make an ad and stuff like that. So she was really a driving force of starting the company in the first place.
I feel like your story, I mean, not all the details are the same, but is common from what I hear from people where they say like, okay, my parents just wanted me to do well in school. I did well to school. I went to college. I got a good job. Can you tell me about why you left that marketing company? What was happening there?
I worked in it was like a small tech startup for a mobile gaming app. And I was like, I like the role of marketing, but my passions just weren't in mobile gaming.
Yeah, was there a moment when you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah, I just felt like, I wanted to do something I was really passionate about. I felt like I was, working on a mobile gaming app that a lot of people love gaming. They would love to be in that role and in that work space, but I was just like not really that person. I wasn't really appreciating it. I wanted to do, something more creative, something I felt more ownership over and just have more autonomy.
It seemed like it didn't align with your values or your interests. and you wanted something more. So when you left, like, was it easy decision, or kind of talk me through that decision?
It wasn't a super difficult decision in the sense that I was like, oh, I'm unhappy, I want to change something. It was definitely maybe not the wisest decision to leave before figuring out what to do next or finding another job. At the time, I was still like pretty young. I think I was 23 or 24. So I was living at home with my parents to save money. Luckily, I had that support, so I wasn't too stressed about what to do. It felt like a little bit of a failure to be like, okay, I'm gonna quit and not work for a little bit while I figure out what to do next.
Yeah, was that scary, like quitting without knowing what's next?
I have a fairly high tolerance for not knowing what is going to happen next. Like, I had pretty good confidence that I would eventually land on something, even though I didn't know what it would be, whether it was another job or starting something new.
I feel like that's a superpower, because I feel like a lot of people live in this space of like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to find something else, so I'll just suck it up. So I'm curious, wait, where does that confidence come from?
A little bit of a mix of, you never really know what's going to happen. Like, opportunities can always come up. I understood where I was strong, like where my skill sets were and what I could do, what options were available. I had a good support network. Like, I had my parents and I had my sister just give me guidance and give me advice.
Yeah, so a strong support system, confidence in your skills, and then I feel like this surplus mentality that there's lots of opportunities out there, like one will work out.
It was a privilege to, I guess, have that. You know, when I was still young, I didn't have anyone, depending on me or any big bills to take care of. So it was sort of like, oh, let me try it out. If we succeed in a year or two, that would be amazing. If we don't, I could always get another job.
Tell me more about that moment when your sister pitched this idea to you. How did you know that was the right thing to do at the time?
Well, my sister and I always were really close when we were growing up. It's just the two of us. We always would, come up with random projects to do. We were always very crafty, and we liked talking about, like, it would be so cool to have a company together and work together and just do our own thing. So when my sister brought it up, it wasn't really a surprise. I knew that was something she would be interested in. It was more of a question of what we would do, not necessarily of whether or not we would want to do it. It was more like, what did I feel like we had the skill set to do and be able to execute well enough to turn it into a real thing and support ourselves.
That's beautiful that you and your sister are so close and that you've always worked well together. So it made sense for you to do something. But tell me about, how did you decide on bags? What made that a yes for you all?
We were throwing around some ideas, and at the time my sister was also working in marketing, but she had clients that she would have to travel to. She would have her laptop and she would carry in a backpack, because you want a backpack for good posture in your back. But she felt like there wasn't really good options for women's backpacks that fit a laptop, that looked professional, that she could take to clients and it would look good and function well. So we were just kind of like, what if we made our own? What if we designed it ourselves and sold these bags? Because I felt like if that was something my sister was looking for and something that I could see value in, there's probably so many other women out there who had the same needs and desires.
I know I have those problems myself of being like, okay, I'm not going to take my REI book bag on a work trip, but I also don't want to be carrying a purse and hurting my shoulder along the way.
Exactly. Before we started Arden Cove, I was studying abroad. Paris is like notorious for pickpockets, and I literally saw my fellow classmates and even my professor got pickpocketed. And I had an anti-theft purse, but it was a really cheap one. I think it was like $50. And the material wasn't very good. It wasn't sewn very well, but it was anti-slash, but it was only anti-slash on like the bottom side. And it had like clips. So it was good. I never got pickpocketed, but I didn't really like the style. By the end of the summer, there was literally a hole from the fabric ripping, like the seam was coming apart. So it was really bad quality. So like, what's the point of having an anti-theft bag if there's just going to be a hole in it?
Yeah, nature's gonna steal from you.
My sister also had a similar experience on her honeymoon in Bali. She was carrying an anti-theft purse, but then because Bali is very tropical, there was a lot of rain. She got caught in a rainstorm and everything got soaked. So her passport was like all soggy, her money was wet. And she was kind of like, well, you're going to travel and there will be weather, whether you're prepared for it or not. You might as well make a bag that is prepared. So we combined all of our wish lists because we tried this product. We didn't have a great experience with it, but we liked the idea of it. It provided value of that we didn't get pickpocketed, but we wanted it to be better quality. We wanted it to look nicer, to go with your outfits. We wanted it to be water resistant as well.
This is something like was new. You've never done this before. Walk me through like how did you approach this process? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, "Ooh, it's so intimidating. I haven't thought, but how do I make it a reality?"
I feel like a lot of people are surprised when they hear about my background because it's art, which is design adjacent, but I'm not a fashion designer. I don't have a degree or experience in that. The most that we have is that we grew up just liking to sew and making random bags by ourselves, but not necessarily like professional by any means. We just figured out everything as we went. We drew up designs and then we went to manufacturers and went, what can you do? Can you make this? Definitely was very unknowledgeable about the area, but we ended up learning a lot as we went. And you figure it out. We kind of Google a lot. We ask a lot of questions. We meet people who do similar things or work in the industry. We just are constantly learning and figuring out as we go.
I feel like you say it so simply. It was like, I just Google things, I talk to people, I go to places. I'm wondering for people listening, they're probably like, okay, but I don't even know where to start. What advice would you give to somebody that's feeling overwhelmed and like, I have an idea, but I don't really even know if I can make this happen?
To be honest, we went in pretty naive. We didn't even know what we didn't know. If I knew all the things that I would have to learn as we went, I would be overwhelmed for sure. It makes sense. But you just kind of start where you feel you can start and do any movement is movement. Just start with something small and then figure out, okay, this is the next thing. Okay, this is the next thing. Tackle it in smaller chunks. We didn't grow overnight. We started very small and we are still kind of a slow and steady kind of mindset. We tackle what we feel comfortable with doing. We grow very strategically. We think about what we are capable of doing and what is most effective at that moment.
Yeah, I feel like you have clear ethos of how you do your business. Can you talk through like what those things are when you keep in mind of how I'm running my business, launching a new product? What are the core things you stick to?
Yeah, for art, we're such a design-focused company. As I said, we started off wanting to make a bag that didn't exist, and that's still sort of our mindset. We don't want to compete with the fast fashion. We are not making cheap purses that are just trendy for a season. We're trying to think of what can look good in 10 years. We've been doing this 10 years, right? This bag has been our bestseller for 10 years, and it's because we are not really looking for trendy styles. We're looking for something that is long lasting, something that is well made, something that is durable, something that looks good, can go with your daytime, your nighttime outfits, but it's not flashy. It's not a designer bag that will make you a target for pickpockets. So we're constantly thinking, who is our customer? How can we fix these problems that we are concerned about? We're constantly talking to customers, asking them, what do you value? What do you think of this? What price points do you think are reasonable? What colors do you want to see? And trying to design around that.
I love that you talk to your customers because I got my MBA, I've been in different companies, and they always talk about being like user-centric, which they can talk a big game, but they don't play a big game. So you're actually doing it and it shows. Can you talk about how you talk to customers? What is your mindset and how you approach that?
We launched our first purse on Indiegogo, which is like a crowdfunding platform similar to Kickstarter. To this day, whenever we launch a bigger launch, like a new design or whatever, we still do it through crowdfunding. We do it on Indiegogo or Kickstarter. And that's because it's a great way to reach new people, but also to get a lot of feedback really quickly because you're getting a lot of eyeballs on it. You can ask them questions, send out surveys, do polls. We're also posting on social medias like polls, what do you think? And then also emailing our newsletters to be like, what do you think of this? And sending surveys. So we're constantly trying to engage our customers or potential customers. If there is a single thing that would hold you back from buying this, I want to know what it is. There's a lot of different ways, and sometimes it's hard to get people to engage. Sometimes people are really excited to share their opinions and really want to help you, and they want you to design their dream bag, which is also a great way. And then there's always incentives that you could put out. We will actually make this color if you tell us these colors are what you want, and that's the color that wins. Following through on those sort of promises. Also just offering a discount for spending 10 minutes for answering this survey is really nice as well.
I love that. And I love that you literally ask people what color they want. I feel like you're building a strong community and cult following that's like, yes, I will give you all the feedback. So you kind of talked about with marketing before when you were at that startup that you weren't feeling energized or didn't really feel like it was aligned with your interests. Fast forward 10 years, you have your own business, you have a great product. How are you feeling now?
Oh, I feel super lucky and super privileged. I know that there's so many different situations where this could have just not worked out. COVID being one of them, no one's really traveling. They don't need purses to go out. I'm just so happy whenever I see someone walking down the street, they have a purse that I designed, or friends are texting me, they're in like Ireland and they saw someone carrying our bag. That's really cool. People will tag us on Instagram and they're all over the world. So that's really nice. We have like the best customers sending in reviews. They're saying such nice things. Even if it's just a private DM, they'll be like, oh, I took this bag and my mom, my grandma, and I have matching bags and it's so cute.
Oh,
So
wow.
it feels really great.
Hey, I was going to say, it must feel so rewarding each time you get one of those messages or just see that out in the world.
Yeah, and I feel like a big part of it is that we are trying to provide, value and solve problems, give people peace of mind without it being very difficult to use. Like it's just a regular bag. It's nothing like super, super secure, but it's just a few simple design features that make it less appealing to pickpockets, and it helps people feel a little bit safer.
Even though you didn't get a business degree, that you have such strong business sense of putting your users in the middle and also how you think about going about the process.
I think it's the only way I know how to do it too. We get customers asking, when are you going to design men's bags? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what men want. I literally don't know how to design things unless it's something I really want to use personally. So that's always been the center of our designs.
Yeah, well, there's a clear need and demand. And I have faith that if you wanted to create men's bags, that you would be able to listen to those customers and figure out what they need.
Yeah, I'm interviewing all the men in my life.
Oh, nice. When you were going after this dream, were there any times that you felt discouraged?
Of course, all the time. Especially in the beginning, it's quite a lonely process to start a business, especially before you launch anything or get any feedback. You're kind of working really hard and being like, where is this going? Of course, there's quite a few roadblocks along the way that are like completely out of your control, like COVID was one of them. Tariffs is a more recent topic. That's a big one as well. And you just have to accept that sometimes really bad things happen. For example, for COVID, we were just kind of like, let's just try to survive. Let's just try to cut down on all our expenses. We shipped everything back to our parents' house to save on storage fees. We cut out all ads, no more spending on marketing, anything possible to not spend money. We didn't pay ourselves for a little bit for the company to survive. And it's a matter of like, well, if it lasts until X month, maybe it's over. Maybe it will end and then maybe we'll survive. We'll do our best.
Yeah, I hear you're trying, like, switching the mindset, I guess, of just like, we're not trying to grow and like see it all go up, that we're just trying to survive. What were some of the things that kept you going during that moment in time?
It was just sort of like hoping that it would be temporary and that things would recover. And it seems like things would recover eventually. It was more of a matter of how long and how long we could stand it. We were definitely tossing out ideas between the two of us. Like, what do we do if XYZ happens? Should we pivot? Should we do this? Should we do that? Constantly thinking of what is going to happen next and how we can adapt and what we can do, what's best for the company as well.
I want to hit those both points where there's hope and adaptability. How did you stay hopeful during that time? COVID was depressing. We're all locked in our houses. People are dying. I know I lost hope at times. So I'm curious, how did you maintain hope during that time?
That's a good question. I don't know if I was super hopeful the whole time. Probably not. It was more like wait and see and adapt as best as we can and then sort of hibernate. A lot of it was hibernating, the kind of mindset of let's just let it sit there and see how the conditions change. Spring will come one day kind of thing.
Yeah, this will pass. Like everything is temporary.
Yeah, it's not like you have to be the most hopeful the whole time, but long enough until things change.
You did a good balance of hope and being adaptable, like when you change on cutting cost and having the things shipped back to your parents' house. Obviously, you're still making bags, so you didn't pivot to a new product. What was that decision making like that, okay, COVID's here, TBD when it ends, we're going to remain hopeful and adapt, but what made you stick with it and not pivot?
We still really loved the product. We knew that travel wasn't going to die off. People still love to travel. People still have that love because we are also travelers. That's why we made this bag. We knew what it was providing and how much people just really enjoy it. We wanted to stick to a product that we felt that passionate about. In terms of changing to a different product, we talked about it. Of course, we even made some mock-ups and stuff like that, but we never ended up launching anything other than bags so far. But we wanted to stick to a product we really loved, and it was still purses at the end of the day. We still did bigger products, backpacks, and smaller products like wallets. This is kind of switching off of COVID, but during the tariffs, we were like, okay, what do we do? And that was when we started making more smaller, like wallets, card holders, zip pouches. And that was because we wanted to have lower price point items. They're cheaper to make, cheaper to ship, cheaper to sell, because we didn't want tariffs. We didn't want to increase prices because of tariffs. And we knew we were going to eat a lot of the cost and we were losing out on some margin. So our strategy was to shift to things, even if it was a smaller margin, trying to sell more quantity of a different product.
Again, being adaptable and changing your mindset to meet the situation.
It's just constantly adapting to things and trying to survive.
What I'm taking away from your story is that you really believe in your product because you care about the users. You yourself are a user and you're like, okay, this doesn't exist in the marketplace. It has a huge value. We're serving both. We're creating a product that doesn't exist and we're also providing a value that people are going to love and need in this world.
I definitely think that if we didn't believe in our product and we didn't feel like it was providing value, it would be really hard for us to put in as much work as we do into this company. And I think that the product wouldn't sell as well, and just the whole thing would just be really difficult.
Words of wisdom to anybody: if you're going to do something, make sure that you believe in it, because you're going to have to put a lot of effort regardless. It's easy to put effort if you believe in something versus something you don't.
Yeah, definitely. It makes me a better designer. It makes it easier for me to make the product because I really understand it and use it. And it makes me a better seller because I know what people are looking for. Just all around, everything is easier when you really use and understand your product.
What advice would you give to people who are exploring ideas but they're feel overwhelmed, where it's like, okay, there's so many options. I don't know really is going to be a good product, or I could do this or that. What advice would you give?
Really understanding the market is good. Do research of whether the product exists or not, knowing the price points, knowing the quality, knowing which company has the best customer service. You really need to know what is out there and then figure out what you are going to do differently. Are you going to provide something that is better quality? Are you going to provide a better price point, cheaper? Or are you going to do it more luxury or the best customer service? Wherever it is, you need to figure out how you're going to stand out in a way. For us, when we're thinking about our product, anti-theft bags exist, but a lot of them are not quite as well made. We ended up being a higher price point, but a better quality. And then we also provide really good customer service. That's something we hear from our customers a lot. We try to really help them. We have a 1-year warranty on our bags. We do repairs. We really care about making sure our customer loves their bags. That was kind of how we thought of it when we were thinking, how do we stand out in this industry?
I went to business school and there's all these different case studies, and I feel like your company is a great case study of your pain points personally. But what you broke down is know your user, know your market, and know how you're going to differentiate yourself. I think that's perfect advice for anybody that's thinking about a business. When you became an entrepreneur, what were some of the mindsets that you had to let go, or beliefs?
You don't have to be an expert to do something. It's one of the things. Because I was kind of like, well, how are we going to design a bag? We don't know anything about it, I've never personally drawn out a pattern for a purse before I started this. I've kind of figured out that you could just do things and you don't have to be perfect at it the first time. But if you are willing to learn and you're, resourceful and you kind of ask questions and, you find the right people to work with, you can just do it.
Yeah. And you're laughing here because it feels like a secret.
Yeah. You're people work in the industry for 10 years before they start their own brand. Yeah, that's definitely a great way to do it. It's probably more reputable. But if you are also someone who is, you understand the product, you really care about it, and you know what you're providing, and you're going to give something that isn't out there, you can just go for it, even if you don't have a business degree yet, or don't have a design degree. There's quite a few things that you could just learn and get started at, and then you'll get better at as well.
I love what you said, that you don't have to be an expert. When you said that, I thought, ooh, that's so insightful. And I feel like people hear that what? I don't have to get a PhD or have 10, 15 years of experience in this industry. I could just try it.
Yeah, you could just try it, which is crazy because it just sounds insane. But it's definitely, a lot of people do it. Once I started, I've met a lot of people who are similar. You just kind of do it, and you do it because you love it. You get really good at it, and then that is the same. You are still getting experience and becoming an expert in your topic.
As you said that, I just had this image of this snowball of momentum going down a hill, where it's okay, I have this interest, this energy, passion, I'm going to learn some skills, and then build, and then all of a sudden you have this huge snowball going downhill with all this momentum and knowledge and wisdom that you've picked up along the way.
It can definitely be imposter syndrome, right? I don't know enough, I can't do it. But that's okay. You don't have to be an expert right away.
Yeah, I feel like imposter syndrome is so huge. I hear that all the time from people. Did you have imposter syndrome? If yes, how did you manage that? And it's okay if you didn't have it as much either.
No, I definitely did, especially because I'm in San Francisco. There's a lot of founders in this city. You talk to anyone, it's oh, I founded this company and this company, and they're all tech companies. I actively tried to meet more women who were doing things not in tech. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was to get more perspective too. Because I wasn't going out there raising seed funding and angel investors and blah, blah, blah. Like we bootstrapped ourselves. We were so scrappy. I think just meeting more people who were also maybe just like doing craft fairs and selling at a booth and also just selling on Etsy and then trying to build their own brand and then expanding into like having their own website. I think that is also like really nice to have. Like just knowing other people doing it is a big part of it as well, and finding that community.
I think that's so important because I imagine it can feel lonely or isolating at times. When I've talked to other people who are thinking about creating a business or have already made those steps, that they do talk about having a community to be with like-minded people or just people that are already farther along the journey, so that you know that it's possible and that it's not some foreign thing.
Yeah, I think there was like both. When I was starting out, I would meet other girls who are starting their own thing, not necessarily a purse business. Maybe they're doing a content creator or they're trying to do something else. We would do like, oh, let's do a cafe work, what is it called? Co-working, kind of thing. Just get together, work together, talk about what you're working on, getting ideas or giving advice to each other. And then also just meeting people who are more experienced, being like, how did you grow your company? What was your story? And not that I will do the exact same thing. I think we did grow our company in our own way. We were really intentional about like not wanting to do it a certain way and doing it what we're comfortable with. But knowing what the options are is really important as well. Like just knowing, oh, they did it this way and that is a possibility. I don't have to do it that way, but now I know that's how other people do it.
Yeah, I'm sure it gets the juices flowing where you can see all the different options and trade-offs, or think of something that's a combination between the two.
Even like ideas of things to try that are maybe not something you think of right away. There's so many different channels to sell things, for example. There's online, there's retail, there's live streaming now. Meeting other people who are in certain spaces is really interesting because then you kind of pick their brains at what's the best way to do it, and then you could try it yourself. And maybe it's not a good fit, but maybe it's a new avenue that you can explore.
Something to experiment with, and you learn and grow. Where did you find your community? Because I'm sure people are hearing this and we're like, oh, community sounds nice, but I don't even know how to find them.
I think there's a lot online now. You could search on Instagram or Facebook looking for maybe local Facebook groups, stuff like that. I think once I started asking around, you start to meet friends of friends, and it's like, oh, you got to meet this person, you got to meet this person. Also, as our company started to get a little bit more traction, people will find us and be like, oh, that's really interesting. Can I meet with you? Grab you coffee with you? So all sorts of ways people reaching out to you as well. So you could be that person reaching out to other creators.
I'm a firm believer that you should find community to help you dream big. It's hard. I see like dreams as like a flame. When you're really excited, it can grow bright, but then there's challenges or maybe imposter syndrome creeps in and your flame goes down. But if you're with other flames and people pursuing their dreams, then it helps you to keep your flame alive and even grow bigger, because you're like, oh, look at all these people doing things. I can do it too, or I don't have to do it alone.
And it's also great because you expand your network and there's more opportunities. If they're like, oh, I'm doing this craft fair or something like that, that one was really good and that one wasn't so good. And you start to get more intel and knowing what's worth pursuing.
As you were talking about that, I thought of people listening and them thinking like, I'm not ready yet. Like I need to have like a perfect idea before talking to other people. What are your thoughts?
There could be both. Like you don't really want to launch something before it has something of substance. You don't want to promise anything too big and not be able to deliver. Kickstarters are coming to mind. You always hear the horror stories of failed Kickstarters where it raised a bunch of money and then they got stuck on spending too much money on R&D and they never have a final product to ship. You don't want to be that company, right? I'm also thinking of our very first prototype of our crossbodies, I kept coming back with the samples and going like, I don't know, is it perfect? I want to change this one thing and change 1 centimeter and like all these things. I think we ended up going through 6 prototypes of our very first bag. And it was just because it was our first time. So we're not very well versed, and we kept changing and making tweaks to make it better. And it did get better with each prototype. But at the same time, at some point, it's pretty good. Even if there's like a little bit of like, oh, maybe this would be better, it doesn't really occur to the customer. The customer sees it and they're like, oh, that's great. I think you can get caught up in trying to perfect something and then just never reach the next stage. I think you get it to a point where it's very good and other people will look at it and go, that's great. Sometimes as the creator, you kind of go, it's not perfect, but it's actually better than you think. And you just kind of have to let it go and put it out there. And that can be scary because then people can come and judge, right? But you kind of have to just like push it out there and hope that it reaches the right audience and like people understand it. Like you have to tell people what you're selling to them, educate them about it, and hopefully they understand and see the value of it. You just have to kind of rip the Band-Aid and do it. Go for it.
What are those words to give people the courage? Because I feel like people can get into the perfectionism mindset.
I think just do it. Just go for it. There's no easy way to do it. You just have to launch it eventually and put it out there and hope that something happens. Worst case scenario, nothing happens. That's the absolute worst scenario, right? And then even if nothing happens, like that's not the end of the world. You can still keep going. You could still do the next thing. Technically, our very first product, laptop backpack we made, was a failure. We had a really hard time selling that bag. It wasn't until we made the crossbody that we started being able to sell more product. We could have just stopped at that very first product, and then that was the end of Arden Cove, but we ended up coming back to it and thinking of what we can learn from our first product to make our second product. You know, the laptop backpack, it was really big, it was beautiful, it was well made, but it was very expensive to store, very expensive to ship, expensive to buy. As a brand new company, how many people are willing to spend hundreds of dollars on a backpack that they've never heard of this company? There's no reviews. There's only these photos and videos and social media, but there's nothing else on the website, right? That's really weird. Then that's kind of like, we realize that it's really hard to cold launch a product like that. So when we went to our second product, we were thinking, okay, let's go smaller. Let's go something a little bit more niche, like a travel purse is a little more specific. Let's do crowdfunding so we know we could verify if people are interested in it and have people sort of put in their little deposit of buying a bag. So we know that people want it, people are interested in it.
People are literally bought in because they gave their money and want this bag. But I love what you said is that technically like it was a failure, but I like to think that failure is not a end point. You decide if it's an end point, like I'm going to give up and wrap it up, or if I'm going to see it as an opportunity to learn, gather feedback, and adjust, which you did.
Yes, exactly. And we're super happy that we did.
Something just going back to the community piece real quick. Some people may feel I'm not ready to be out there talking about my stuff because I have imposter syndrome, or who am I to say I'm a founder when I don't have an actual product out there yet? What would you say to those people?
There are a lot of people out there who are really confident, and you just kind of channel those people. I think that there is a lot of people who just don't know what they're doing, and they're still just very confident and they put themselves out there. And I find it inspirational because I don't have that tendency either. I'm also super shy and I worry about that kind of stuff too. But then I also think, oh, there's other people out there and nothing happens to them. You know, what's the worst that can happen? And I think that the value of just talking to people is so much bigger. You don't need to go out and say, oh, I'm a founder, but you can say, oh, I have this idea and I really like it and I'd like to have some advice and hear what your experience was like.
Yeah, you don't have to claim that identity if you don't feel ready to claim
Yeah,
it.
if you don't want to, you don't have to.
I loved what you said about being honest about confidence and even just thinking about other people. What was your process when there was moments when you're like, not feeling confident, but I gotta show confidence?
I put the product first because that's like what I feel comfortable doing. So for example, when it's time to go on a show and like display this product, I'm like very focused on the product and selling the product because that's what I'm comfortable of doing and confident about. I feel confident in the product that I feel an authority. I think focusing on what you do feel confident about is important in changing your mindset of how you present yourself.
I was wondering, like, changing your mindset of how you present yourself, is there tactical things that you do? And the reason why I'm asking is I'm sure there's some people that are struggling right now that are like, oh, I wish I could just turn it on, but I can't.
I think just like practice is good. The first couple times will feel really intimidating and you're not really well versed in what you want to say, but practicing what is your little pitch for your product, how you want to explain what you do. I mean, you could practice by yourself talking, but you could also record a video of yourself to, like, whether it's for yourself to practice or put it on social media, you just do it a bunch of times and you get super comfortable with it. I think for me, our social media is a really big part of our company. We try to post a lot of videos because we're online. People want to see the purse, they want to see how much fits inside, what is the fabric like. So I spend a lot of time filming videos about our bags to put on the internet. And to make a good video, it's very noticeable if you are like more confident, make it interesting visually, but also have sort of a presence. So you just practice that and you see what videos do well and you're kind of like, oh, when I stand up straight and like, speak clearly and have a good presence and I'm smiling and happy and have good energy, high energy, you kind of see those videos do better and you kind of understand that it's the same when you're in person, maybe not quite the same energy, but like your energy is different when you're trying to connect with other people.
A theme throughout this is kind of just do it. You just gotta do it, and
Practice.
maybe that do it is practice beforehand, but make sure you're doing it and actually seeing how you're presenting yourself.
The sooner you start, the more experience you'll gain, the more you'll learn, and then you'll get better. You're not going to get to that point suddenly, or I didn't anyways.
I asked about what beliefs you had to let go. I'm curious on what beliefs did you have to embrace?
I've always had like that sense of I'm really good at certain things. And I know there's a lot of things I'm really bad at. I work on things I'm not good at, but I lean into things I'm good at as well. Just embracing what I am good at. I think the way that we structured our company in terms of how my sister and I split roles or how I spend my time, what do I think is the most valuable way to spend my time is a big one. It's all sort of determined by what we are strong at and what we enjoy doing and what we're passionate about. Really understanding what you're strong at is a great skill to develop and
Yeah, I love
really
that.
confident about it.
Yeah, it is. That's like kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, I'm really good at this. I do really well, boosts my confidence. I get even better. I love that you said play to your strengths because I think so often, at least in corporate America, I feel like you're always given the feedback of where you need to grow, and you should grow and work on things, but I don't feel like we really own our strengths and double down on them.
If you're good at it and it's the easiest way for you to generate whatever momentum or income or whatever you need for the company, yeah, definitely it's a good way to spend your time. If I am trying to I'm thinking, what am I really bad at? I'm just going door to door trying to pitch our bag to retailers. I'm not good at that. And that would take a lot of time, a lot of resources. versus I am good at photography and video, and I can make 100 social media videos and then make ads, and that will reach a lot of customers directly. That was what we're better at, so that's the route we chose.
So go the path of least resistance. It doesn't have to be hard. Do lean into the thing that you enjoy and are able to do.
And if you're really good at doing the door-to-door thing, that's amazing. You could go that route as well.
Yeah. So figure out what you're good at. Well, as we close out here, is there any final advice that you want to give to somebody that's afraid of pursuing their dreams?
I think that you, I don't know, just do it.
Yeah, we can leave it there. Just do it.
I think that if you have an idea of what you want to do and you want to structure, I think if you have an idea of what you want to do, you figure out what you're really good at and figure out how you're going to provide value and give something or create something or provide something like a service or whatever that people are looking for. You will find your customers because it's something people need. I think that it's really meaningful and fulfilling. Personally, that's my experience. I hope everyone has something like that in their life. If there's something that they feel really passionate about and that would add a lot of value, and I hope that they will have the courage to pursue it so that they could live the life that they're looking for.
Yeah, that intersection between what you're passionate about and solving a problem. Yeah, and clearly you've solved a huge problem and something that you're passionate about. Throughout this whole conversation, it's been so clear that you really believe in this product, and that's what's gotten you through all the challenges and has brought you into a really good place. Well, my final question is, if you had a billboard, let's say there's a billboard in San Francisco to encourage somebody to pursue their dreams, what would that billboard say?
Future you would always wish that you started sooner. Something simple.
Yeah, I wanted to give that a little bit of a pause, let it sink into people. Time is of the essence, and tomorrow is always a day away. So it's better to invest now so you can reap the reward sooner.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being on this show. And I'm sure people want to know where they can get your bags or stay in touch. Like, where do you recommend?
Yeah, so you can shop our bags at ardencove.com, ARDENCOVE.com. And then same thing, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of them are at Arden Cove.
Okay, well, check it out. I know there's a lot of travel going on now. You don't want to worry about getting pickpocketed, and you also want it to be stylish and be water resistant. So make sure you check out those bags. Christmas is done, but you can gift them for somebody's birthday or some other event. Well, thank you, Karin, for being on this podcast. I felt inspired by your story, and I hope other people feel inspired too. I'm sure they will.
It was great to chat. Thank you so much for having me.